Maral asked the question, the Goraye, Gabriel told the brothers that they're in Doisan, told Yosef that the brothers are in Doisan. So Maral asked the question, the Mechiras Yosef took place in Dosan. Before Rashi brings the Chazal that it took place in Shechem. So Maral's answer is, well, we do have a concept of city and its environs, like in Hilchos Megillah, Krach v'chol hasamuch lo. So the main city was Shechem, and the environs included Dosan. I mean, the question in Machriach, I don't know that there's any place where there's any basis for that. Especially, it sounds like a place. It doesn't sound like a city here. It sounds like a farmland, a grazing land. So anyway, that's what he says. I was thinking maybe another answer. On the pasuk Nosu Mizeh, the pasuk like this. It's all extra. But Yomer Ish, he asked them, "Do you know where my brothers are?" Yosef asked. He says, "Nosu Mizeh ki shomati omrim ne'achol doisana." So all the pasuk should have recorded is, "Where's my brothers?" I heard them say they're going to Doisan. What did he introduce? Nosu Mizeh, they traveled from here. So Rashi says Nosu Mizeh means Nosu Atzumina Achva. They moved out of they broke off the brotherhood. Mechiras Yosef is not in Shechem, is not in Dosan. When they break their bond of brotherhood, that's the beginning of the tragedy is not the selling. The real destruction of the brotherhood was not the selling. That was just the inevitable consequence of somebody who's outside of the brotherhood. But the being in Shechem was breaking the brotherhood, and breaking the brotherhood was the Mokum HaMuchen Lepronius. It wasn't the selling, was just the expression of that, but the real tragedy is that the brotherhood. Then I realized another thing. This answers another Rashi. Not the way the Maral reads the Rashi in yesterday's Parsha. Very, very interesting Maral. Listen to what the pasuk says. V'yibayom hashlishi b'yosem kol adam v'yikchu shnei b'nei Yaakov Shimon v'Levi achei Dina, the brothers of Dina. So Rashi says the fishim mosru atzmo lo nikru. What's the Torah right there? They're brothers because they're moisu nefesh. So Maral learns the chiddush is like this. They're all brothers. But they're not. It sounds like these are only brothers. No, they're called brothers because they're moisu nefesh. I mean, you need Rashi to tell you that. I just can't believe the Maral is saying that's the pshat in the pasuk. The pasuk, I mean, Rashi has to tell you. You never heard of the Maral. You never heard of Rashi. The pasuk says, of course, we know the brothers are the ones. Everyone's brothers, but these are the ones that took up for her. Right? Because they were brothers, they had a special feeling. They took up for it. That's what the Maral says it means. But I can't believe that you need Rashi to tell you that. That's what the simple translation of the pasuk is. Of course, everybody, we've already had a whole parsha in Torah that they're brothers here, so of course it means these are the ones. That's not what the pasuk's saying at all. The pasuk's saying like this. How many brothers are there? 12. 2 brothers unilaterally separated from the group, the paskin, running the group. There's been a change. Even Yaakov admits he steps down or he steps to the side and allows them to make the decisions. He never castigates them for they decided. He doesn't go, how did you decide without talking to me? He doesn't say that to them. He just says they made a bad decision. Mechiras Yosef, how dare you? Yaakov understands when the name Yisrael is Chal that that they're now in charge of running, and they can be shoyleitza by him, but they can make this. That's Pasha. But who? 2? Who appointed them, Misamchus Sar V'Shofet? What did they think? That they left the brotherhood. The real tragedy of Shechem was in the city of Shechem, Shimon and Levi also left, right? They decided they're going to take hold of this. But the pasuk is saying like this. Different. What was the basis of their decision? the basis of their decision is, that's good for Klal Yisrael. It was a political decision for Knesset Yisrael. They weren't doing it as far as brotherhood. They were doing it because they decide if there's Klal Yisrael, we don't tolerate this thing. Now this is what Rashi is saying. No, that's a mistake. It wasn't a political decision. It was because they did it out tzedina. The pasuk is saying they did it out tzedina. The real kasha in the pasuk is they were only the brothers of Dinah. They're not the brothers. They're not even the kasha was, if they're not doing it, they're not the brothers of Dinah. Just like they're not the brothers of the other 10, they're also not the brothers of Dinah. That's what's bothering Rashi in the pasuk. And that's already a very, very important thing. When they decide on their own, that means they're in charge. So their brothers they're not really brothers. They're not throwing them out in the sense that later on by Mechiras Yosef, but there's a separation. We're in charge. Until now it was 12 people in charge. We're running the show. They separated from the brother. They separated from Dinah also. So that's what that's what's bothering Chazal. They're nobody's brothers. They're doing this because of the decision of Klal Yisrael. But Rashi's saying, the pasuk is telling you not like this. This was not a decision for the sake of Knesset Yisrael. This was a decision because they took up for Dinah especially. In other words, the pasuk is really telling you they're not the brothers of anybody. They're nobody's brothers, and they shouldn't even be Dinah's brothers because they are running the show. I mean, I don't mean they're not biologically brothers, but they're not. They have no connection. They're not doing this as in concert with the group. They are taking the reins.
Why aren't they Dinah's brothers?
What?
It says the brothers of Dinah. Why aren't they Dinah's brothers?
No, that's what I'm saying. So therefore, I would have said, then that's Rashi's kasha. They're not even the brothers of Dinah. They're not, just like they're not the brothers of Reuven, Yehudi, Yisachar, and therefore they're not the brothers of Dinah also.
So the pasuk has to come to tell you that they are.
Yeah, well, yeah. So what's the pasuk telling you? The pasuk's telling you this was not a corporate decision of Knesset Yisrael's good. This was a personal decision, and that's what the Fisha Masru. This was a special feeling they did for Dinah. Okay. This was not a decision for the corporate entity of Klal Yisrael. And by the way, that's what Yaakov was timing to them. How did you do this? How did you do this? This is not a good political decision. And what their answer is? Hakazoni Yasas Hussein. We did it for our sister. What that machlokas is beyond today's discussion, but that's the simple pshat in the pasuk. Yaakov said that this is not a wise political decision for the survival of Klal Yisrael. You're jeopardizing everybody. And if that would be true, the only reason they're doing, which is what they say, Hakazoni Yasas Hussein, that's what they're answering. If this is not a political decision for Klal Yisrael, this we're doing specifically for Dinah. That's a whole shmooze what that machlokes between Yaakov is. But really, therefore, what the pasuk is telling me, without saying Achei Dinah, I would have thought it's not Dinah's brothers either. They're not brothers or anything. They're doing things on their own. Remember, by the way, now we understand this is really the roots of Noso Atzma Min Achva. In the same Shechem, where the brothers separated from the group. Right? They separated, at least they took the reins, they weren't pushing the others out, they just took the reins of power. Next, in this week's parsha, it's not a quantum leap to go from there to push somebody out entirely. That's Mechiras Yosef. It's the exact same place.